to all technology fans. Today we want to talk about how Apple was founded and how this name became famous, and also to know the biography of its founder, Steve Jobs. We invite you to continue watching this video. Our goal is to increase your knowledge in the field of modern technology in the world. Please like and subscribe to the channel to support us and leave us a comment below the post. Let's go. What's the story of Apple's logo? Perhaps when Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs formed their friendship in 1971 based on their dreams, they did not imagine that they could start their own company less than 6 years at the height of the youth. In 1977, two Steves were able to manually produce the first Apple PCs in Jobs' garage and at the same time launch their own company under the Apple name. The sale of the first prototypes of Apple PCs gave the company considerable credit, so that by producing and introducing other models such as Apple II and Apple III, which were equipped with floppy drive and DOS operating system, it was able to make a name for itself among other brands and be known as an official company under the Apple brand. Apple is best known for its two founders, but perhaps if a third person hadn't joined the group, there would be no popular versions like the iPhone and iPad today. In the history of Apple, we should definitely mention Ronald Wayne's short-lived but influential presence. The story was that Jobs was able to persuade his friend Ronald to take a 10% stake in the Apple brand. It was a turning point in Apple's history as it had a positive effect on its production mechanism. Apple's first computer. Jobs and Wozniak's friendship and collaboration marked the beginning of a collaboration that led the two young men to design and build the first computer model. Apple co-founder and maker Wozniak was the brand's first computer maker, a computer that, with a typewriter-like keyboard and the ability to connect to a regular TV, was Apple's first step toward the more advanced Apple I and Apple II models. Steve Wozniak, despite designing and building the first prototypes of Apple computers, was shy and felt that his creativity did not have much to offer in the face of modern technology. But his friendship with Jobs made Apple I especially admired. So the two friends decided to formally start their own company, selling only their valuables. Jobs sold his Volkswagen and Wozniak sold his HP calculator. Finally, on April 1, 1976, Apple Computer was officially launched by its three founders, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne. You must be wondering why the Apple brand logo is the image of a beaten apple and what this beaten apple can have to do with one of the world's technology giants. There are several opinions about the Apple brand name and its logo that bites an apple, which are briefly mentioned below. The first theory about the Apple brand title, and probably the most probable and real reason, is what the co-founder of the series, Steve Wozniak, said. According to him, the reason for naming Apple goes back to the history of Steve Jobs, who worked in an orchard and therefore chose the name Apple for his brand. According to Wozniak, the title may have been the only thing that came to Steve Jobs' mind at the first, but then, despite searching for another name, the two did not find a better title for the story than Apple. On the other hand, the first logo design that selected for the Apple brand was an image of Newton sitting under an apple tree telling the famous story of the fall of an apple and the discovery of the force of gravity. Another theory about the Apple logo refers to the death of Alan Turing, a computer scientist who died after eating a cyanide-contaminated apple. Jobs' separation from Apple. Apple's history continued with the production and sale of Apple I, II, and III computers, followed by the development of color graphics and Lisa and Macintosh versions, marking a significant technological revolution in the 1970s and 1980s. Apple's tumultuous story in the early 1980s was accompanied by good news. New and innovative products were introduced to the market and these versions were very popular. Meanwhile, the young Apple CEO Steve Jobs was not yet 13 years old and therefore many members of the board considered him inexperienced to hold this position. That's how Apple's story took a turn for the worse, with Steve Jobs, always an innovator, creative and designer, following in the footsteps of Scully at Apple, temporarily cutting short his story with the Apple brand and pursuing his dreams that eventually led to the launch of his new business. Perhaps if the story of Jobs' separation from Apple took place in the 2000s, when Apple wrote the word on the iPad and iPhone and sought to prepare the iPad, it could have had catastrophic consequences for both Apple and Jobs. But this separation in the 1980s had different and even positive results, because Wall Street responds positively to Jobs' departure from Apple and even pushed the company's stock higher. Where did Apple's story end up after Jobs? Apple's approach after the departure of its influential founder revolved around the development of the company's products, so that the brand, with the expansion of the Macintosh version and the presentation of this product with color display, marked new development in the field of its products. But Apple's story did not go well in previous years, and even in 1989 the company saw a drop in sales of its products. Gradually, Apple collapsed and new figures such as IBM and Microsoft emerged, and the company lost some of its former power. Apple's approach changed and the brand's story shifted to collaborating with new faces. In the early 1990s, it began collaborating with two new competitors, IBM and Motorola. It may be a little hard to believe, but Apple's story in the 1990s was very different from the big company we know today. In those years, however, the company had many products and stocks, but it didn't have enough customers, and only a brand like Apple could survive these days and survive for years to come. Apple co-founder returns after 12 years. The story of Steve Jobs' creativity and entrepreneurship did not end after the separation from Apple. Apple bought the company for $429 million plus 1.5 million shares of Apple stock, but Apple's main goal in buying the company was not just to buy a new operating system, but to buy Steve Jobs again by buying Next. The man who took the helm of the Apple ship again after 12 years and made major changes in its process. The biggest change that Jobs' return brought was that, for a long-term plan, the company's downturn is slow. In fact, the purchase of Next was not enough to solve Apple's current problems at the time. And it was Steve Jobs who was again able to give another direction to the company's executive process for his plans and ideas. Jobs realized that if Apple wanted to survive, it would have to focus on more limited products, reducing the brand's PC range to 4, 2 for consumers and 2 for businesses. What is Apple's share of the world market? Apple's story continued after the untimely death of Steve Jobs in 2011, and the brand was able to become the leader of the global technology product market. As we can see, the light blue Apple brand is in close competition with Huawei and Samsung, accounting for approximately 16% to 20% of the market share, especially in the last quarter of 2019. It reaches its maximum level of 20%. Apple PC market share between 2015 and 2019. In personal computers, the top 3 brands are Lenovo, HP and Dell, and the Apple brand is ranked 5th in the world after Asus, which shows the company has strong competitors in the PC market. Apple's market share between 2015 and 2019 was between 6 and 7%. Apple's share of the smartwatch market in 2018. The chart shows that Apple Watch has a significant position in the global market and has occupied almost half of this market, which of course in Apple's story, Apple's share of the tablet market in 2019. The Apple brand, along with its powerful competitors, namely Samsung, Amazon, Lenovo and Huawei, topped the tablet market. With a 34.6% market share in 2019, it has emerged as a strong company. Thank you guys for watching our video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you later.